As bass players, the defining characteristic that distinguishes our technique from that of a guitarist is the almost exclusive use of the fingers of the dominant hand as our primary picking method. In this video I'm going to demonstrate some familiar, some unfamiliar right hand plucking techniques that properly implemented will enhance both your technique as well as your self-expression. So just as a little preface, what we're going to look at is the double thumb technique, the double thumb and one pop, the double thumb and two pops, what I call roll slapping, or the integration of a left hand tap, and then we're going to add all of that together to create a kind of sextuplet feel. Then we're also going to look in a latter half at raking, double plucking, two finger double plucking, three finger double plucking, tremolo and rhythm swells. So either that'll make sense to you or it won't, but stick around to find out more. So to start out, we're going to get some work on the old thumb. So switch over to the right hand cam. Essentially what you want to be doing to start this process, the very first thing is one note. So say we choose C major. And you want to be able to play more or less fluidly everything that you would normally play with alternate picking, with your thumb just using downstrokes for the first step, because you want to get that power into your thumb, because most of the time as bass players our right hand is like kind of this, there's a good angle, and our thumb is just sat there anchored to either one pickup or the other, or perhaps resting on a string. A lot of people won't have the dexterity to be able to use their thumb as fully as they would like to. So, and then once you've kind of got comfortable playing as many things as you can with just down plugs, then we're going to integrate the double pluck or the double thumb. So the best way to articulate that is to say we're starting on the C here on the A string. You see what I'm doing? I'm plucking through from the A string, resting on the D string, and then so you're doing pluck, 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 and then you're kind of catching the kind of the corner of your nail, the corner, where is it on the camera? The corner of your nail, this little bit here, attacking on the way back up as well. Until you've got a nice clean pick attack, and then you could go. And you want to go all the way across your bass, as you can see there. So because when you hit the higher strings, demonstrating the point quite nicely, you need to be fluid across all the strings. You need to have the technique down as fluidly as possible. So that's the first stage. So the next phase is integrating the index finger, number one, and to do that you kind of build, the best way I can recommend it is, once you've got your double thumb comfortable, is to revert to the single thumb. So here we'll do C again, both notes on C, and then the octave is the best way to start, or even just on the individual string. But I'd say to get the technique tight, start with on an octave or a higher string, and then so similar to your standard slap and pop technique, but with the pluck with the thumb rather than a traditional slap or a pop back slap. And then we're trying to hook the index finger under as well. important not to skip stages as well, because you kind of need to develop that muscle strength and that muscle rigidity and technique and memory before you can move on to the next step. But the next step would be, anyway, to add the double thumb in. So, and you want to start painfully slow. And as you can see, I'm practicing it as but actually it's probably equally relevant to practice. So the next thing we're going to add in the third step is a third finger, the middle finger, and we're going to apply that, in my case, across octaves. So we're going to start on whatever your highest string is for the top, for the middle finger on your highest string. So we're going to use, it could be G, or in my case we're going to use C, and then we're going to just, all I'm going to do is just put a nice, let's see, I'll put it right up here, a minor chord shape, and then we're going to add thumb, thumb, pop, pop. Now, as you can see, I'm not getting quite as much grit as I was before, but that is because of my tendon damage, which is visible there. I can't quite attack. My ring finger is extremely weak, basically, so you have a tactical advantage over me from this stage onwards. The point being that you can integrate a second pop. Double thumb, pop, pop, double thumb, pop, pop. So the next integration here, so if you think about it this way, so far we've had single note, two notes, 1, 2, 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. Now to add a fifth note in that grouping, to make a 5-note grouping, or a, what would that be, a quintuplet? Yeah, quintuplet. So we got single note, 2 notes, triplet, quadruplet. Then we're going to add a left hand slap, or a left hand tap. So I'm here on my A string playing the E. And what we're going to do is we're going to thumb, slap, tap, up, pluck. Let's switch back to the camera. So down with the thumb, tap, up with the thumb. You get the idea. So you experiment with it as you will, but that's the stage afterwards, which is the sextuplets I was talking about earlier in the video. So you've got 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now for part 2, we're going to look at the things that, as far as I'm aware, are either relatively original to this video or my technique, or something that has been adapted from techniques that I've seen other people do. The first one we're going to look at will be raking. Here we are on Bandcamp. So raking is commonly understood to be this. It's used commonly like that to get, say you're playing, or it should be if you've got good technique. So alternate picking on the way up, It's a good way to get your legato technique. Not paying too much attention to my right hand, but you get the idea. So raking generally is a downward motion because it's not commonly used for the nail of the fingers. But what I've been working on is, I've seen Geddy Lee do this from Rush. I'm getting similarly with the double thumb. Kind of develop it the same way. Now, what makes it unique the way I'm doing it is I've been applying this for kind of flamenco rally and tango effect. So this technique will be entirely familiar to flamenco guitarists. I don't think I've seen it used on the bass. I honestly don't, and I'm hoping that not too many people steal the idea. And if you do, tag me in it so I can see how you've implemented it. So obviously we have some more fingers available on the right hand. The first one is, and that's also on one string, but you can add in the second finger, and you can also add in the second finger across chords. Depending on what number of strings you're fretting, you can get different rhythmic figures out of that. Now my favourite one, which is probably the main reason I made this video, is using all three fingers. I can't use my pinky finger at all, it's, as the aforementioned, tendon damage. But I can roll continuously because of the conjoined tendons there. You can roll continuously. In fact, I'm going to do a separate section of this. Hold on, I'll be right back. So I just wanted to dedicate this one particular section specifically to these kind of flamenco rolls because there's so much variation you can get here before even bringing the thumb into it, really. So as you're using, you've got up to 3, so if you're lucky, 4 potentially usable fingers. Let's switch to the camera. So say you've got 2 strings, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But then you start the original stroke like on the 1, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You get the idea. So as you get up to multiple fingers and multiple strings with this technique, you can kind of make a lot of compound rhythms. I'll show you on the other camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. This is where it gets really fun for me, really entertaining. And my favourite is the sextuple grouping. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Flamenco technique on the bass, bad man. So before we just swiftly cover just a little bit more about this technique, because this is the primary reason I made this video. Once you've introduced that ring finger and gotten used to strumming across chords, there's a couple of little things you can do to make it interesting. So what we were doing there was just straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So kind of get a bit grating and annoying if you just do it. So you need to introduce some rhythmic variations, such as what I just did there, which is... So like what I'm doing there is kind of speeding up, or using a rake on each chord change. Sounds absolutely dope in my opinion. Love it. The other thing you can do is to use sort of rubato. You can use like a expressive slowing down or speeding up of the tempo. And you can also use it for kind of, if you take off all the treble, kind of like gentle swelling. It's a really good way to practice it as well. It's like getting those notes really clean. And it's really nice just here, just sort of further up the note. But where you do it gives a totally different level of attack, tone and sound. And yeah, the best way to develop that is just get it slowly. This is what I did when I was learning it. My finger's getting tired now. And there, once you do it with that kind of dexterity and the hard dexterity tight, you can really do some interesting things with it, basically.